and welcome to part 3 of the Liverpool stone carvings presented by Corjan Mall on the Curse of Oak Island. I don't claim that Corjan agrees with my findings. He's still doing his own research with his research partner, Christopher Eric Morford. I often follow my intuition, and my intuition said, hold off on releasing part 3. I had planned on going to Gloucester to do some Templar night research, and I found more than I bargained for. Gloucester Cathedral was an incredible experience, and I'm going to share with you my walk of the Tribune gallery. Most cathedrals that I have been to do not allow visitors to go up to their gallery space. It's shut to the general public. In this case, what makes Gloucester Cathedral so impressive and so exciting is that it is open to the general public. So I will share that experience with you, and that is where I made an incredible discovery of a possible Cistercian cipher. And I'm so looking forward to revealing this to you. I was not expecting to find this. It was that moment of inspiration, guided inspiration, that I followed, and it was right, and I'm happy to share this with you now. So come with me as I traverse the Tribune Gallery of Gloucester Cathedral, and how the symbol that I found relates to the carvings. So this is the Tribune Gallery. Rather a terrific bird's eye view. Ways to go yet. Very old, very uneven steps. So many people coming through here wearing the stairs down. Stonemasons come along and replace the stones when possible. Okay, so I've just come up the stairs here. Let's see what else we can discover. A memorial to somebody. And that's where we've just come. A book in stone, a work of art, an art gallery, a museum, walking in the footsteps of those who have been here hundreds and hundreds of years ago. The remains of a Saxon high altar. This is actually one of the oldest parts of the church here. There's been a church here on on these grounds for a very long time. The Saxons ruled England in what would be considered the Dark Ages. Now it's called early medieval. So that's just where we've come from. Anyway, I just showed you the old Saxon high altar and the badly eroded carvings. Okay, it's time to leave the church, I think. The cathedral, excuse me. It's interesting how there is a lot of soot up here. The stone is very old, very picking up probably traffic from around town, even though we're inside. Candles, gas light, anything. Oh, this is refreshing to come out into. Quite beautiful. This is truly a privilege to be up this high in a cathedral. In all of the cathedrals I have been to, I have not had an experience like this one where you could come up to a higher gallery and peer at glass that's difficult to see from below, peer down onto the main location of worship. It's phenomenal. This is truly, truly unique. There's the high altar. The main window. Apparently this glass window in the east here, some of it dates back to the 1490s and the 1500s. Oh, I truly wasn't expecting this. That is just phenomenal. How fortunate to have been able to come up here from below. Ooh. How is your head up for heights? All designed to raise our thoughts, our spiritual aspirations, our psyche, our heart, mind, body, and soul. Okay, we've just done a circuit of the cathedral, and now we're heading down. Sometimes stone were purposefully uneven. But if you lived here, you would know which one was which, and then you could defend yourself if need be, whereas an interloper would be struggling to keep up. This is kind of interesting and has surprised me. It's not exact, but prepare yourself for something pretty close to the Liverpool stone carving that was shown on the Curse of Oak Island, presented by Corjan Mall in Nova Scotia. Oh my, this is, okay, so there it is. Of course, I have a video on YouTube that you can visit that discusses what this could be. Okay, let's get out of here. Oh my gosh. Welcome to the medieval world. What health and safety? Just got to be careful around these places because of all the uneven surfaces, other people. So that's where we've just come from. Okay, kind of hard to appreciate from where you are, I know. And there we are. There's the exit. Okay, it's awfully quiet. I wonder if they know I'm still here. Okay, let's talk about the cipher of the monks. This is a Cistercian numbering system. Note the number 440, 400, and 4000. Depending on what side of the stave you are looking at dictates the number related to the stave, whether it's singles, tens, hundreds, and thousands at the bottom. So in this particular example, the number 4044. It's not exact. The positions of the arrow pointing at the stave is moved out rather than in. This could be a way to disguise the code. Now, Scott D presented this to me, and I want to thank him for that. And he said that it was approximately 4,444 nautical miles to Jerusalem from Oak Island. Jerusalem, of course, was considered the spiritual center of the world, and many medieval maps are based off of Jerusalem in the center. So it wouldn't be out of place for a Cistercian monk to have codified the distance to the Holy Land, especially if a product out of copper was going to be transported there. Now, nautical measurements varied, and usage of different systems was multiple in the world. Now, I was a bit dazzled by the following, so you'll have to bear with me. Is the following potential with scholastic nerds getting together and wanting to share? Yes. Arab astronomer Alfraganus of the 9th century lived in Baghdad. He was very famous, and Christopher Columbus used his calculations to help navigate to America. He was also an engineer and created navigational instruments and was well ahead of his time, and his 9th century texts were used all the way up and spread across Europe. Okay, so this image here of him is out of a Hermetic alchemy book in German. So his information spread far and wide because of his uncanny accuracy. Now, what I find interesting is what he did in the 9th century was calculate the circumference of the Earth to 24,000 miles. It's actually not too far off. It's approximately 24,901 point, give or take, miles. Not bad. Now, there were 4,000 cubits in an Arabic mile. Roughly, this equates to 1.04 modern nautical miles. A cubit is the length of your arm from your elbow to your middle finger. And that varied. Sometimes it was just to the end of your fist, and that was actually a heraldry symbol used in the Middle Ages. But the Arab cubit went from your elbow to your middle finger. And it was widely used in the ancient world all the way up through, the modern times. So what I am suggesting here is that Scott's theory might be correct, that stave with the open arrows is a hidden Cistercian cipher that says what we're mining here and producing here is going to be used in the Holy Land. As many of you know, I was recently interviewed by the Curse of Oak Island inside Royston Cave, a Templar secret initiation chamber. The significance of this to this discussion, 8 miles down the road, is a market town that they built from scratch, having been given permission by the King of England at the time. So what's interesting about this is that the market town of Baldock, 8 miles south of Royston, which was also theirs, a derivative of Baghdad. I think that's such an exciting, interesting concept that the Templars, of course, were in Baghdad and brought the memory of that name back to England with them. Is there a potential to ponder the exchange of information between cultures here? Absolutely. The synchronicity of Scott D's theory about this symbol equating to the nautical miles and Jerusalem. The triangles at the end of the stave are open-ended. In alchemy, that's problematic. They would have been closed off to represent fire and water, or male and female principles. You push those triangles together and you end up with a very important symbol, which is the Star of David, which was a symbol you'll find in Templar properties. And the Star of David was important to the wisest of kings, which is what the Templars wanted to say, that, you know, we have wisdom, we seek wisdom, and you can see that portrayed in our architecture. Triangles are a language in themselves in the medieval era, going back to ancient times. When you've got 3 pieces of information that all say the same thing and you pit it against a fourth, you have to consider the fourth in the same context. I think it's simplistic to state that when you've lined up symbols for copper, silver, saltpeter, and verdigris, that you aren't looking at a symbol to say, we were here, this is the landing spot, or this is our encampment further north and west into the Great Lakes. I think it is safe to say that a high level of sophisticated methods were repeatedly used in Northeast America and into the Great Lakes to protect Norse interests and also aid in the Crusades in the Holy Land. I'd like to come full circle back to Oak Island. The Ogham Stone, found in Season 6, Episode 11, titled Wharfs and All, shows a language that is Germanic, and Futhark is a Germanic language. Ogham falls under that heading. So were they making arrows for a mission in the Holy Land or for their own defense in Europe? Are the ancient copper mines of Lake Superior one of their secret sources for wealth generation for the Norse and the Templars and the Cistercians working with them? That byproduct from copper could have been spread through the Templar network and the Cistercian network in Europe. It seems that the Cistercians were in an alliance with the kings of Norway. Did medieval voyagers use Oak Island to bury gold, silver, and copper, hoping to retrieve it at a later date, and not necessarily burying spendable treasure in the money pit, but somewhere else on Oak Island? Their larger vessels would have been moored on the coast under guard until their mining team returned in smaller boats. Zena Halpern found that Nova Scotia was a hotbed of gold mining, even up through recent times. Gold rivers just off of Oak Island on the mainland. I will leave you with this to consider. The Ogham Stone, found on Oak Island, is it evidence of a completed secret medieval mission to Oak Island, Nova Scotia, and further inland? The language on the stone has been identified as Futhark, which is a Germanic form of runes in use up through early medieval era to the 1300s in Western Europe. Futhark is the umbrella term, and there were many regional spin-offs. The following image is of an interior door, a lintel that had been reused, but this had once stood upright. And this image is from Scotland. And here is another image from Scotland of this ancient language. So we've come full circle. Due to Nova Scotia being in the path of the Vikings, it is certain they were there. Futhark, being a Germanic text in use up through the 1300s found on Oak Island, leads to interesting questions, but also conclusions of who may have been there, when and why. Who had the skills, financial backing for such an expedition? Who had the steep why? The seemingly separate and coincidental pieces of evidence strewn across hundreds of miles, looked at in isolation, may be easily dismissed, but when laid out together on the same table, tell a complex story, and a neat story of who, when, where, how. I am confident that more will be discovered soon. If you've been inspired by my work, please like, subscribe, share. It is a form of donation in itself. If you'd like to help me keep my SUV on the road, please consider donating at my website. There are donation buttons on multiple pages, depending on where you land, for a one-off donation or a monthly donation if you'd prefer. I am also on patreon.com. Thank you so much for your interest in following my work. Respect yourself, respect others, and take care.